We're seeing some feedback already in the comments about the Casplex launch. People are considering this an underperformance. In actual fact, this is exactly what we've been anticipating inside of our VIP group. As we dive deeper into what was happening beneath the surface on Casplex, it becomes as clear as day what this launch was all about and why expectations, for one, got so high, got everybody's hopes up as we start breaking down what was going on beneath the surface. So as you guys who have watched the channel before know, we always use this X-axis repeating trend line system, and there's such a thing as a gravitational field marking the farthest distance the candle has traveled away from the escaping price channels. We got all the way flush up to it last night at 4:30 a.m. Vegas time, and then we got rejected down, which was overall what we anticipated the markets would do, would reject the price at this gravitational field. We got a lot of other key catalysts going on, but what we're here to talk about in specifics, let me zoom in on the comments there. It was by, I think, 50 cents or Israel Brother 349. He was disappointed in the launch of KRC20. What was really going on there is a deeper understanding of the other catalysts that are even larger, market-wide, that undoubtedly affect Caspa also, that just are about to take place. And what we're talking about, of course, is the FOMC meeting that happens in 72 hours. The fact that Casplex is launching during an FOMC meeting all plays into the three phases of the market cycle, which we've got to bring into the limelight in this video. Lexi saying, Jesse, can you break down the different price predictions for Caspa? Some people are saying $1, other people are saying 20. I'm going to go one step deeper than that, Lexi. We're going to do a deep dive into the accounting for Caspa. We're going to actually follow the money from where it comes from, not trees, but the government treasury department. We're going to follow that cash based on models from the prior cycle and see how it's flowing into Caspa. And this is exactly why Casplex is launching right now. The FOMC meeting is in 72 hours. See, we're looking at our poker hand as retail, and all retail wants to think about is, are we going to get a price run right now? If we go a step deeper, we start looking at the whole poker table. Remember, trading is a zero-sum game. All the money that we're pocketing because we're in super early on a majority or all-in Caspa position, and this is all going to play out into when we start talking about diversifying by time, which is a complex thing both in individuals and as well as the market as a whole. Even if we all got started at the same day, there's still time diversification. Looking at the poker hands of everybody at the table, we got to take a look at Marathon Digital, particularly these companies that own majority shares in Marathon, like how about Jane and Jump Street? So what's happening right now, those Caspa miners are now increasing the fees. They're making more cash. This is great for us retail hobby miners. We've got a couple ASICs in the garage or in the shed out back. Our money's going up, but imagine for a moment the paperwork and the increased volume that's happening for Marathon Digital. 1%, they're a Bitcoin mining stock. 1% of all their hash power goes into Caspa since September. Since September. We're going to get into why investing 100% into one crypto was a good strategy or is not, and break it down in detail. I mean, everyone has their own thoughts, opinions, and emotions. Let's talk about facts for a minute. You go all in on Caspa, you're crushing everything else. Even the concepts and prices that went shooting up high, like some of the recent DeFi listings like Aerodrome, those have ripped way back to the downside. Depending on where you got in, you would have been just better just continuously dollar cost averaging into Caspa. A majority position is a concept Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and Mark Cuban all stand behind 100%. In fact, they go a step deeper and they start talking about, well, the only reason why you would diversify is against your own errors, as well as inside of the Berkshire Hathaway meeting every single year. Charlie Munger was notorious for this. He would take 10 minutes out to just rip on people in the economic sector who are trying to teach diversification. Breaking that down into our niche, imagine Kaspa Silver, how much he's got to offer versus somebody like Crypto John, who's coming up with new picks, new options for you to buy all the time. If you've got over a 5-bagger, and diversification can take place and will naturally over time, but let's say you're an investor coming in with $10,000. There's no way splitting that into a 5-bagger all at once is going to work out mathematically. On top of the fact that now you've got 5 different charts you need to sell the top for. And while initiating phase 1, as we start to break down into the 3 different sectors, phase 1 will be easy to identify because we can correlate it directly with the bond market. We got to pull that chart up undoubtedly. But as we're going to go into in a moment, especially with artificial intelligence, GameFi, and meme coins, they're going to peak at a different time set. It's more of a trickle down liquidity. Getting back onto the KRC20. So what's happening right now, everybody was expecting from retail's point of view, this is going to rocket, right? We're going to get massive price gains. No. Because the FOMC meeting is happening this week. You guys have heard about that old guy on the news, right? He stands in front of the flags and he talks super monotone. They ask him questions and he gives answers like a politician. That guy controls the economic world, basically the entire universe that we know. What he's talking about is the yield on bonds, and this directly plays a hand into cryptocurrency. This is the secret sauce. Utilizing this in your trading, and we can do this broad stroke like we're going to cover in this video, and you can even hone it down into details. And we'll show you some stuff from in VIP. This is how we've crushed everybody. You use this chart right here to locate the 3 phases of the market, starting with right here. And this is what's going on right now, this week, and why Casplex stepped up to the plate, pumping those numbers up for Marathon Digital, because now they know on the prospectus of Jane and Jump Street, they got a 24-point report of their own showing, hey, Caspa's making a bunch of money with the miners, and they own a part of that action just as a way to keep their pulse on the project, more investing coming down the loan for Jane and Jump Street, Caspa being a fair launch. So back to this chart and how to utilize it accurately. Powell's going to get up there and he's going to cut rates. What that does is it's basically, this is the government DeFi project. They will pay market makers, these banker high-level investors like Jane and Jump Street, BlackRock, a yield to stake their money in treasuries. This is to help control inflation. Satoshi's genius was that he aligned the Bitcoin halving with overall global liquidity cycles. And we've got to understand this as cryptocurrency investors. Most likely Alan Greenspan, who was the former head of the FOMC, the Powell in the 80s and 70s, most likely he was involved advising the team of coders that put together Bitcoin. This is a global liquidity cycle. It has nothing to do with cryptocurrencies. We're just talking economics 101. This has a 5.5-year fluctuation to the up and to the down. Right now, we're down here, showing all the cash is in bonds, this giant bubble. during the prior cycle, they had this bubble of bonds, and then there's a massive clip drop. Notice these two dates, February 19th of 2020. These are 1 year treasuries. And then remember this date, June 21st. Let's go over to the Bitcoin chart. I've got to reload the charts because we just had a crash. Okay. Going to the Bitcoin chart, check this out. February 19th, 2020, 1 year later, Bitcoin enters phase one. As that liquidity is pushed out of the market, out of the bonds, the government DeFi staking to control liquidity, it's rushing in to stimulate the street, not just crypto. This is when GameStop went down. I was trading stocks at the time. I was in on GameStop during this. Wall Street had a massive pump, but notice in that movie about GameStop, they never talked about the bond market. This is behind closed doors. This is the secret sauce. Dude, I've crushed every content creator recording trades on my cell phone, knowing Powell was raising rates. And people were saying it was going to be altcoin season. Ridiculous. There's no way that altcoin season can happen as Powell's raising rates. And this was like big channels. I'm not trying to pick on the Caspa community. This was back here in May. The only short video we have is covering, we've been waiting to short this for like 90 days, waiting for Powell to raise rates again. Why? Because when he raises rates again, he's now offering more cash in the government DeFi staking. Therefore, it's going to suck liquidity out of the market. So every content creator from Crypto Banter to Altcoin Daily, you can go back and check them. They're like, it's altcoin season, lunacy. And in my opinion, the reason that crypto traders, their strategies, tactics, and methods, and also why they don't appreciate Caspa fully, is because they don't know anything about the bond market, because the last year was like the perfect storm. Describe what the perfect storm is. It means they're pushing all the money out, going down to zero and holding it there for a year. This is the second phase. So Bitcoin has its run up here, but for altcoins, this is a different story. And this is when we start getting into diversification, diversifying correctly, and why Casplex opening the door right now for building, they're basically putting a Ting Munuk there, getting ready, like, hey, don't invest in the bond market, invest in Caspa, build on Caspa. And that connects right to the Marathon Digital paperwork. So there are big players right now, investment banker types like Jane and Jump Street specifically, BlackRock, that are looking at 24-point reports on Caspa from the increased miner fees, and they're getting ready to stop investing in bonds and start investing in Caspa, building the ecosystem. We have no idea how early we are right now, but you will after this run-up phase happens. Once this takes place, let's look at it on the total 3 chart. Paralleling with the FOMC Treasury yield, totally different beast on the total 3. Look, this is that February date right here. So for Bitcoin, it was at an all-time high because Bitcoin, they don't need those funds to build on the ecosystem as much. And this is why Casplex is actually super smart. And they're putting Caspa way ahead of the curve right now. Because a lot of other chains in the prior cycle, they didn't start doing their fundraising to build on inscriptions until after they already had a liquidity injection, after the run-up phase, phase 1. And then look at this distribution phase. So for everybody who's like holding meme coins or GameFi right now, we can go in and we'll break this down. Those are going to do really well in the distribution phase. Caspa's geared up to have a massive run-up phase, as well as an even bigger distribution. But here's the catch. Anyone who's telling you they know the best projects to invest for 2025, 2026 bull run, they're not using this price model because all the data isn't in yet. We're going over a scenario where Powell cuts rates down to 0 and then holds it there for a year, allowing for a quick, strong, healthy run-up, paralleling with Satoshi's secret, the Bitcoin halving, that restricts supply. But this liquidity injection, that increases demand. And this can be done to a finite example, like this massive wick to the downside on the total 3. Inside VIP, we just pulled up a treasury auction date happening on August 27th. Therefore, we know all this liquidity is going to get sucked out because they're only paying 5% on bonds. So for market makers, they're like, yup, I don't need to buy any crypto right now. You're going to pay me 5%. This is the last round to get it that high. I'm going to load up because they're compounding interest there. Yeah. NFT Schiller is chipping in. This is a great perception, and we're going to alter his whole mind state right now. And inside of crypto social media, you get a lot of the tech. A high focus is put on the teams and the projects. What people are missing, and that helps part of the equation, supply and demand, is this overall macroeconomics. And this is the secret sauce. You can do the Casplex, you can do the listings on Kraken right now. The fact of the matter is, and the Kraken listed should be postponed, in my opinion, a bit further down the road, because they need that injection from the bond market in order to kickstart this bull run. So everybody who's saying, oh, like this GameFi project or this meme coin is going to go really good. Let me throw this scenario at you right now. Let's say we go to a full out war with Russia. There's big players who have massive interest in the war machine. Every time a hospital gets built, a railroad gets built, a tank or an aircraft carrier gets made, it's done through bonds. They print the bonds. You can go to college for this for 8 years. There are way more charts. This is like the simple layman's, just getting you guys in the door here, just to understand what's going on with that old guy, Powell. And once you start lining your trades up with him, like we just showed, yeah, we knew market was going to take a dive on the day, on the dollar. Let's look at Caspa specifically, just to show you how potent this information is. Because once you start amplifying it into your trading plans, you start to go next level. And we've shown that hands down. We've been crushing everybody, not just over the past 400 days, but also with all of our leverage trade callouts and stuff like that. These are FOMC meetings. On the main channel, we hadn't even opened VIP. We give a 10x leverage trade call out right there. We open VIP here. We get everybody in cold storage here. The FOMC meeting happens, and then we load up 10x leverage trades around 12 and a quarter, and they survive the carry trade wick to the downside. That's how down low those leverage trades were. And this is just to show the correlation between this money that Caspa has. This is showing us big dogs, the players who move the market, they're in on Caspa. And so to get the full price model, exactly, Crypto Savage. This is all part of a bigger plan. Casplex is right now getting funding ready for phase 1. We're going to do the accounting right now to show how Caspa, and more importantly, when Caspa reaches $10 in the same exact bond scenario that we just had, the ideal bond scenario where Powell brings the interest rates down to zero, and they hold it there for a year. They do this zooming out for the economy to stimulate jobs and growth. That's why Casplex is so ahead of the ball game, because historically, AVAX, Solana, all these other projects, they waited until the run-up period, prior cycle, before, which was here. And then they started getting ready to fund the growth on their ecosystem. Casplex is getting us in position just in case we don't get the ideal bond market. We go to war and they start printing more bonds. This rate could go up. I mean, he did say he's going to hold it at 5%, but they could hold it at 5% throughout the entire bull market. For all we know, it's out of our control. Let's do the accounting and show everybody $10 price prediction. So my price prediction for Caspa is this. During the run-up phase, which parallels exactly with when these FOMC bonds gets unlocked, February 20th, that's a key date, 2020. That's when interest rates drop to zero. Fast forward 1 year later, this initiates phase one of the crypto bull market. It does parallel with the Bitcoin halving, not because Powell's working with crypto, because Satoshi's genius. Satoshi weaved that in with the global liquidity markets. So keep those dates in mind. Caspa's going to have a strong run up to $2 from where it is right now. That's a lot of gains for a run up position. And then do another 5x, hit $10, and we're going to show the accounting on where we get $10 exactly. That's around a $300 billion market cap. That's easily achievable for Caspa. Beyond that, because Casplex is getting us ready to have a strong run-up. We have a strong run-up in an ideal bond market. The distribution phase, which is what altcoins rely on, we'll look at some specific charts in a moment, is going to be even stronger. So let's get down to the brass tacks, starting with how much money is available right now in the entire world compared to the last crypto cycle. Right now, in 2023, there was $140 trillion, 6% compounding. So by 2025, 2026, we're looking at $160 trillion compounding, not even talking for quantitative easing. They're always sliding some extra cash in there. During the prior cycle, it was 100 trillion. Those numbers are important because Bitcoin itself captured 1% of the total worldwide market liquidity. And this is in part because of Satoshi's genius. He aligned it to soak money up. As the bond market is deflating, Bitcoin's causing more supply and demand at the same time. It was a very smart move. So we've got a 1 trillion in 2025 during the run-up and throughout the distribution phase. Bitcoin is projected at $150,000. We can all agree $150,000 is very realistic. We can get into technical analysis and show that. It's double the previous local top at 74,000. So 150,000, very achievable. That's a $3 trillion market cap. But for Caspa, we're talking about altcoins. Taking a look at BNB, during its peak, it was able to capture 10% of Bitcoin's overall market cap. Solana, at this particular point, 6. Cardano, 5. So for Caspa to be able to capture 5 to 10% of Bitcoin's peak market cap is completely reasonable. And there's actually extra catalysts that will add to Caspa getting the majority share. As we just saw on that chart, Caspa's constantly soaking up bond cash. For one reason, it was fair launch. And on top of it, The shape of this bull market will be completely different than the last, leading to more quality projects on the second layer above. We'll get into that in a moment. So seeing all these numbers in the accountings, we get a very realistic market cap for Caspa, 300 trillion, 150 trillion. I'm sorry, 100 billion. Rephrase, 100 billion, 150 billion, 300 billion. Easily obtainable based on last year's historic market. And the way it's going to unfold is super key because this comes into the diversification. Because Casplex got in early, we have a strong run up and then an even bigger distribution. Taking a look at, let's take a look at a GameFi just to see the extreme version of a distribution phase versus the run-up phase. This was one of the lead GameFi projects. It actually came onto the listing 75 days after the run-up had already taken place. This is 75 days after the run-up happened. It may have been on some DEXs, but it started entering the centralized exchanges, getting its momentum going 75 days after that. If you got it at 50, it would be a 24x, giving larger upside during this distribution phase. And this is exactly what we see when we jump into meme coins as well. The run-up phase, not as strong. Taking a look at Dogecoin, we get the run up here and then we get the distribution phase later. And this comes into diversification and timing and momentum and stuff like that. One of the key factors that's going to shape this up and coming bull market is the regulations. How many people in the chat were around during the prior 2021 bull market? Do you guys remember what that cycle was like at all? It was Bored Apes Yacht Club. It was nodes as a service. It was all of these get rich quick type of projects on top of the already pumped up layer ones and layer twos, trying to pull new investors in so they could make their ends meet off crypto. The government stepped in with some hardcore regulations about what they're going to allow teams to do during this coming cycle. They stepped in right here. And briefly after is when they unleashed the SECs to start regulating crypto, but they didn't go after the teams at the end. They went after the layer ones that they were built on, which is not what they were supposed to do. That's why artificial intelligence is going to be one of the hugest narratives for this up and coming bull run. Not only is artificial intelligence the most popular growing entity online itself, looking at the Tau chart, Tau will have a reasonable run up, but in the right market conditions, Tau will absolutely moonshot during the distribution phase, the secondary phase. Artificial intelligence, popular ChatGPT, had 1 million users in 5 days. Record-breaking growth. This regulation ensures that teams are going to be building on projects that actually do something. What artificial intelligence can do besides replacing graphic designers, Try to hire a graphics designer on Fiverr. All you're going to get is somebody using AI to create you an image. It's going to start to get into job replacement stuff. Artificial intelligence is going to be huge. It can do accounting. It can do supply chain management. It can help us with investing. Obviously, the entire thesis that we've broken down on this channel is that by utilizing artificial intelligence, knowing what questions to ask, AI is the smartest person in the room. We can therefore actually find out where price is going. Everybody wants some simple machine where they just click a button and AI shows them a squiggly line to the upside. It's not there yet, but it is super close. Going back to our channel historically, we were actually asking artificial intelligence to do this. We said, read the entire white paper and the code of both Litecoin and Bitcoin, and then I want you to compare it to Caspa and build a price model. And it was saying, oh yeah, with ease, this is going to get up to a 50 billion market cap. This is artificial intelligence. Knowing what to ask it gives us massive insight. And that's where our 24-point reports come in. Obviously, Caspa Maxi right here. We started buying Caspa and have continued to load the bag until finally every trader, depending on when they got in, will reach the point when the amount that they can save can no longer influence their bag because of gains plus the amount of time you've been saving for. A simplification of this is, let's say trader A has $10,000. They put it all in on Caspa and they can save $1,000 every month plus Caspa's gains. In a year, they can no longer continue to buy Caspa because they're only going to be getting 1% difference every month. Therefore, now they're forced into diversification. And as we start to do this, we want to keep the three phases of crypto in mind. There's been a lot of content going around that sharp talking about multipliers. We have trading plans, including multipliers. Let's say we're talking ZK Tech, GameFi, or meme coins. Instead of loading the entire bag with Brett right now, we could do a portion in Brett, swing trade a Solana, for example, like a render. Swing trade that on the low because those will have faster and stronger run-up phases than the meme coins. Take profit out and then reinvest into the meme coins. Also, we don't know what type of bull run we're going to even have yet, which is another massive advantage to having a Kaspa Maxi position. All your ZK Tech, your DeFi, your GameFi, and your meme coins could have a very short-lived future in the scenario that they just keep the bond market up. Is a massive advantage to having Caspa. And that's why Casplex is so smart for acting fast now, because they're starting to build the ecosystem before the phase one starts. So crucial. And that's going to help in the best case scenario where we get a huge distribution phase. So let's talk about selecting projects, how to comb them out. For starters, I know everybody likes to use CoinMarketCap. I see CoinMarketCap all the time. These guys are talking about cats, dogs, frogs, meme coins. You can search for all of this with an added layer of data on CryptoRank.com. Right at a click of a button, a lot of your research is automatically enhanced. You got the VCs right here. You'll get the vesting schedule. You can find out when the team unlocks is going to be. Everything along those lines. You can also hone down your search and do just artificial intelligence. So let's do a gem hunt right now. Let's look for artificial intelligent projects and see what's going on. So we're looking in the category, instead of meme coins, we'll do artificial intelligence. This is something, and we can also do the date that they were launched to get the newer ones. Just to make this simple, we'll just go ahead and do only artificial intelligence. And it's going to rank them by market cap and sizing. The farther down we go, the more into micro caps we start to get. Artificial intelligence, under the right treasury layout, is going to have a huge bull run, crushing meme coins. I would go with, if I had to pick 3 meme coins versus 3 AIs, I would go with AI projects, hands down. Inside of our VIP group, we have 7 24-point reports. This is a system that we use to vet cryptocurrencies. It's a managed learning system ensuring every detail. We even have AI, I think it's step 4, read the code that the team is posting on GitHub. Have you guys even ever seen a GitHub? That's where the teams post all their code, and AI can go in there and tell you what's happening. If it was a warehouse and they were painting chairs, you would know instantly. You'd walk inside, you'd be like, these guys are making a lot of chairs. Good job. You walk into a GitHub page as a layman like myself, we're looking at gibberish, right? We're like, got no clue. AI can help us see how fast the team's working, what they're working on, and you can find a lot of hidden treasure as well as red flags from using the 24-point checklist. So we have over half a dozen projects already vetted. The majority of them are for artificial intelligence. This one in my hand, Desync, aka Destra. It's an Alex Becker pick that we like. So we're on the gem hunt. We just put in AI and we're scrolling down. We can see artificial super intelligence THET. These guys just all combine their market cap together. This is a big mover alongside Tau, which has their subnets, also made by Polychain Capital. We've got Aether, huge DePIN project, crushing the amount of hash power by these GPUs that every other project has. We're talking Render, Flux, Chlor AI. All these DePIN projects, you can combine all their hash power together, and guess what? Aether has more hash power than them. We have a 24-point report that's very lengthy. This VIP group isn't for everybody. This is for people that are ready to put in the work, study, and grow as a trader. You'll get there over time, but the thing about crypto is we have limited time to grow and learn. So being able to look over somebody's shoulder who's crushed the market over the past 400 days, you're going to get added insight. Soaking in what's going on with Aether elevates your knowledge of this sector massively, whether you want to buy it or not. So that's a great report with links. It's like almost 100 pages. The report I did is probably 8 to 10. So we're scrolling down. We got Pal AI. This is something else that we do a lot of technical analysis of. This is kind of a GameFi artificial intelligence project. Here we go, Spectral. So this is my #1 side bag. It's also created by Polychain Capital. Let's take a look here. We can see the funds and backers. Polychain Capital, hand in hand with Caspa, but more importantly, for artificial intelligence.
My CPU is a neural net processor, a learning computer.
Polychain Capital is already in the door, proving that they make the best artificial intelligence projects with Tau. Another added tool at your fingertips that you've got to analyze when we're vetting projects, of course, is the vesting schedule. And we can see right here, these guys are locking everything up. The teams, the investors, nobody's getting a nickel off this project until 7 months and 20 days from today. That's pretty bullish. That's good. Spectral's looking to have an enormous distribution phase under the right market conditions. So a potential play for people who take some profits early on Caspa during the run-up cycle, those can be reinvested on a swing local low into projects that are geared up to have an enormous distribution phase. And in order to fully understand why, you've got to read the 24-point report. I mean, it goes into deep dive details, and this is a great way to check cryptos. We've got one of our reports is for a no buy. It's for this project Blender. We can find it in Crypto Rank somewhere. We thought originally, just from doing a half hour to an hour like surface review, it was going to be good. When you break out the managed learning system and you start going over every detail, just like you were going to open a restaurant. I got this system, managed learning system training from building franchises. You walk in the restaurant, you got to turn the ovens on, count the till in the cash register, slice the onions. There's a whole procedure of everything that you need to do. You need to have a system. No one on earth, no matter how smart you are, is going to remember everything you have to check. So no matter how good you are at vetting projects and how well you've done, you got to have that written down. And this is my system built out. It's 24 points. And to add on to it, we have 84 questions that you can simply just cut, copy, paste, throw it into AI about any project, and then continue learning more about it. Great learning tool. It will get you on track massively. Forget about Google. Don't research crypto with Google. Use AI, Super Chat GPT, or my personal favorite, Agent GPT. It's a beast. So when we're diversifying and looking for different bags, we've got to keep in mind the different phases of crypto, the run-up and the distribution phase. And from vetting the projects in detail, we get a greater understanding of how this bond market cycle is going to affect their price, when their run-up's going to take place. Even meme coins, for example, tend to take place later, historically, in the distribution. Yes, $10 Caspa. We just did the math. All the accounting lines into place. It's very simple to find the $10 Caspa. We figure out how much cash is available in the entire world. We then look at historically how much cash there was during the last crypto cycle. We see Bitcoin, because of Satoshi's genius, tying the halving event into the global liquidity cycle right here. The halving parallels this greater economic factor. This document isn't even about crypto, showing how the global liquidity cycle waxes and wanes in a 5.5-year cycle. Interestingly enough, we've got rate cuts about to happen. Powell was doing these rate cuts basically at the exact same time during the last Bitcoin halving, 4 years apart, basically, give or take, because of Satoshi's genius. Getting back to the $10, and then we see our altcoins are absorbing between 5 and 10% of Bitcoin's market cap. So we can easily get Bitcoin to $150,000 this bull run. That's $3 trillion. These altcoins are getting 10 to 5% of that. And that puts Caspa into the double digits. More importantly, when? Because there's going to be a run-up phase, and then there's going to be a distribution. And we're just talking about best case scenario. We could go to war with Russia, and there'll be a totally different market that unfolds. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, huge factor in gem hunting is recognizing how this money from the bond bubble is going to flow into that project. from the treasuries to the market makers to retail investors to that project. Instead of investing just straight up in Caspa meme coins, you could go with Caspa utility coins like Trader Joe for AVAX. Let's look at AVAX chart because this really shows clear distinction between the run-up phase right here. That's that February 20th date. That's exactly 1 year after the bond bubble bursts. The Fed is now stimulating the street, making sure that the market makers, the big players, are giving these businesses money. They can build jobs, create new products, etc. The run-up happens. They actually got a really juicy sell-off. So there's a scenario, and we'll know inside VIP because of our understanding of bonds. If we get lucky and have a massive sell-off on Caspa, we'll just buy our Caspa back. Because as long as the bonds are at zero, there's still going to be a huge distribution phase. A lot of times I hear one of the biggest FUDs is, well, everybody who bought super early, like below a penny, they're going to dump it during the run-up phase. Great. As long as rates are at zero, we'll just come back and buy it back at an extremely oversold price, making diversification even easier. The more you know and understand one chart, the better. A practice that I do every night when I go to sleep and when I wake up in the morning, draw the Caspa chart out in your mind from when you purchased it to where you are right now, thinking about market sentiment, what's going on, everything. Just draw it out like a chess player. Those guys can play a grandmaster level game blindfolded. You want to crush crypto market? Draw the Caspa chart in your mind every night until you can draw it again and again and again. Know it, own it. This is a zero-sum game, which means they're trying to rip you off. And by you, there's a lot of players at the table. There's retail, there's teams, there's market makers, there's bankers, and then there's the FOMC. There's even the Bank of Japan now, too. They're dealt in. So a lot of players at this table that we've got to beat. Turbo will have more multipliers than Caspa, not during the run-up phase. With Casplex and everything ready right now, Turbo being a meme coin, sure, that's exactly the entire diversification model we're talking about. But remember, the bull run comes in phases, all based on this bond liquidity oozing into the projects and creating jobs. And we can see this as clear as day on AVAX. Let me walk you through this point one more time. We get the run up. Now AVAX is flush with CAS and they start building on that layer one. Right here's when Trader Joe got released. There's like planning and VC backing, seed funding Trader Joe here. Once Trader Joe goes live, now AVAX gets its full distribution. Now, all these get-rich-quick projects, everybody's coming over from the stock market. They want to get a piece of crypto. They got Bored Apes Yacht Club on AVAX. All this bull run type of stuff, that's going to be way different this bull run. It'll be more AI and GameFi angled. Caspa has its own path, which we'll touch base on in a moment. So Turbo, yeah, but not during the run up. So let's say you got $10,000, but you want to get that Turbo play. You can go all in on Caspa, take 10% out during the run up, wait for the cool down, and then catch the distribution phase of Turbo. You see what I'm saying there? As a multiplier trade. We can do a breakdown and a price prediction for a meme coin like Brett right now using the same exact model that we did for Caspa and see there's going to be a whole new wave of investors that aren't even in crypto at all right now that come in late. It's just part of human psychology, part of fear of missing out. It just all breaks down. So looking at this historic price chart, this is the last cycle top. We got $1 trillion in Bitcoin. So Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, they're at 2%, 2 to 3% of Bitcoin's total market cap. So at a 3 trillion market cap, these guys will be somewhere like 75, 50, somewhere between 50 and 100 billion for a market cap during their absolute peak run up. In the distribution phase, looking at Doge. In the distribution phase, yeah. And of course, it's obviously quick-lived. This is hard to sell too. This is one of the massive problems with having a bag of more than 5 positions. So I've got 4 right now, and I'm always trying to streamline. And I'll end up with maybe even, a few more. I want to keep it under 10, but it's all about time, following the timelines, waiting, building one position at a time. This is the problem with multiple bags, particularly with meme coins. I hear people are saying their strategy is, well, let's get 10 meme coins. This is an extreme example. And at least one of them will 500x, a couple of them will 20x, and then some of them will just do nothing. That's great on average on the screen. You are delusional if you think you're going to get the top of 10 meme coins. The run up is easy to time. It'll be based on the treasury liquidity. As we just explained on Bitcoin on the total 3, the run up was February 20th. And we can see that specific spike across all the charts. It's the distribution phase, and this is when altcoins start peaking. This is going to start flowing more into team and tech details, things along those lines, and it's going to be more complex of a price model to locate when they're going to top out. So thinking that you're going to sell the exact top or even 50% of that top on the type of peaks that these are making, these short-lived price gains, don't think that. In my opinion, it will be way better to do a Trader Joe utility type, because that's basically like you hold a basket of meme coins. They're all the AVAX meme coins, all the AVAX like degen projects that will come up during the distribution phase, and there'll be loads of them. This year it's going to be AI. By getting involved with the utility coins, you basically have an ETF of all of these late distribution level projects, giving you a much broader time period to sell. Way more realistic to take profit then. This is an exceptional question. I'm going to add on another variable to it. I can save $1,000 every month also. This is important because I'll have another $10,000 in 10 months too. Or I have $1,000 every 30 days. What I would do, first of all, I would join our VIP group, because we're going over detailed leverage and cold storage trading plans for how to get Caspa on the low, using the repeating trendline system. Zooming in a bit closer here, we've always recognized that this would be the resistance Caspa would bounce off of. We bounced right off of it, exactly like we thought, to show you historically how accurately we timed the low. Because my answer in brief is, we're going to go all in on Caspa now. We're going to start some side bags next month and the month after, and we're going to continue adding to Caspa, but we're also going to take profit off of Caspa during the run-up and redistribute that a few months later into some other distribution phase projects, using The repeating trendline system, last downtrend, everybody thought that we were going to break out here. Even the VIP members, they were like, nope, we're going long right now. We're going to load leverage trades and buy cold storage. We just put a video out on the main channel to try to snuff this. We are not breaking out here. We're not even near, not even relatively close to the gravitational field. This is an adaptation of wick-off breakout method. Because crypto has strict emission and having schedules, trend lines repeat. And it all moves in the same direction. Anybody familiar with stock trading? You know how the ETFs like QQQ, SQQQ, they all move generally in the same direction or backwards from each other. Cryptos all move in tandem, more or less, making it very easy to trade them, as well as identify the winners, which is how we found Caspa. Anyway, we got everybody in at cold storage at 11.5 and under here. We loaded everybody in to leverage trades 10x and 7x at 12.25 and 13.3. Those all survived the Bank of Japan carry trade. So with that $10,000, I would wait until this local swing low comes in on Caspa. So after the FOMC meetings, to add on to your question, you've got to recognize the importance of FOMC meetings. Show you a different Caspa chart that's going to suddenly make you realize that you want to do this. Every time the FOMC gets up and addresses this chart here, which we just tied to the run-up phase, as well as once it made this new local swing high, that was Bitcoin's low right there, June 16th, running parallel with Terra Luna and FTX. That was when everything crashed. It's all correlated to this. This is Satoshi's secret sauce. The FOMC meetings play an enormous part in trading successfully. Nobody in crypto talks about this because the last market cycle, they all got spoiled like little brats. The monetary policy was just flawless. You got a giant drop off on the cliff and they're holding interest rates down at zero. They're printing money on top of it. They got spoiled like brats and now they think they know everything. Dude, I crushed everybody that's recording their trades. Nobody beat me. I came over from the stock market. That's like fighting in the UFC and moving down to like Bellator. You're just going to wreck everybody. Stocks are hard. Crypto is easy. Here's how we knew to get into Caspa. Look at this. From June 1st to this FOMC meeting, Caspa's ramping up. Look at what happened in the altcoin market. So you can see the only short video we have is all about our short trade. This is why we even started YouTube. Everybody was saying altcoin season. Powell's about to step up and increase the amount the government's paying Jane and Jump Street, these market makers, to buy DeFi. So obviously, they're not going to buy crypto after he raises rates. They're going to buy bonds. Jane and Jump Street right here sold a bunch of their legacy projects, the AVAXs, all that stuff. They pulled like their entire Webull or Robinhood market making out. It was a huge bloodbath. So meanwhile, the rest of the market's like, riggedy, wrecked, son. We're like, yeah, well, we knew this was going to happen because we study the bonds. We're not ignorant. We're using economic factors here. So we were short AVAX, but this is the thing. See, from June 1st to that FOMC meeting, it was a bloodbath. Except for on Caspa. And that tells you right there. That's market makers. That's big money. Buying into Caspa, they know something. And we find out later, Marathon Digital started mining right here. So they were already all over this thing. And this was market makers scooping Caspa up at the low, as we predicted back then. Of course, we used technical analysis as well. realizing Kaspa's technical analysis was to the upside, but fundamentally that. So you want to correlate your up and coming purchase with that $10,000 to the bond market. Just to give you an idea of what's about to happen, historically, every single time the FOMC cuts rates, and this is bigger than Casplex and why they did it right now, it always goes down and sideways. This is the total three. This is the last time Powell was cutting rates. It's the same thing on the Bitcoin chart. If you look at the stock market over the past 20 years, every time they cut rates, it's going down. We know why. Why? Because all the money's tied up in the federal treasuries, and they need to stimulate the economy. They need to create jobs. They need to get AVAX to make Trader Joe. So they take these bubbles and they pop the bubble and push it onto the street. That's what started GameStop. Same thing. GameStop, 1 year after this bond bubble went on. Everybody talks about how it's a short. It's also a monster bond rip to the upside. The shorts was just combinations. And as you detail the GameFi trade, there's a lot of people that talk about, well, yeah, in all actuality, it was actually other market makers that were putting that one guy out of business there, Melvin Capital. That's his name. I'll show you guys my GameStop trade. That's what I was doing during the last crypto market cycle. I was trading stocks, adding on to GameFi. We were in GameFi during the earnings report 90 days before. Just loading up, realizing that the short squeeze and the bond market would get this to run up. When we go over to stock YouTube, it's every single channel's talking about this. Crypto is naive to it because they got spoiled like little brats during the last market. So they think they got it all figured out. And guess what? They don't. They don't. They don't know what they're doing. They're not talking about this. They are lost children. This correlates directly with the three phases of the run-up, like to a T. To a T. And it can go bad depending on what happens with the bonds. It can be a different top. It can be more of a blow-off top and less of a distribution. So it's still early to even know what's going to happen. So when we're looking for these repeating trend lines, one that's very important is the y-axis support line. This actually started back here in November. So you can see in the early videos when we started talking about Caspa, we had cloned this trend line here, and we were looking for it to start to pick up traction to form either a double top or a cup and handle, and it did. When we use an angled Fibonacci pitch here, which we had set up way back in the day before even the handle of the cup, it illuminates all of these levels out. Let's get this in place here. We're going to exclude discussing fees on your trade because fees might adjust that slightly, but we'll give you an idea of what pullback could be. So we always had this angled Fibonacci pitch set up like this, even back right around the handle. Looking forward, after we gave the 10x leverage trade call out here after this FOMC meeting, we got massive rocketing upside, and it actually captures this. The most contact points is just standard with any trend line or Fibonacci pitch. You got to find the angle, the trend with the most contact points. And that's what we've clearly identified here with the y-axis, which is acting as support. So let's say the Bank of Japan comes out 48 hours after Mr. Duncan Powell speaks, they can cut rates again. And we have articles and links going over that inside VIP, that's a possibility. Powell steps up on Wednesday either way. Let's just say the Bank of Japan is not going to raise rates. This massive flash crash isn't going to happen. Powell can do two things. He can cut 25 points or he can cut 50. If he cuts 50, there'll be more of a rally. But as we've shown historically on the total 3 and on Bitcoin and in the stock market over the global liquidity prior cuts every basically 5 years, they start cutting rates. It always leads to a rally over the weekend and then a sell-off. Just that's the way. This whole run up here is the hype into rate cuts from the prior cycle. And we just saw a hype into rate cuts again. The reason why rate cuts aren't instantly bullish is because of what's happening with this cash. We've got to inject this money into AVAX's, into the Casplex hands. They've got to get their hands on that in order to build on the ecosystem. So Powell's going to come out, and if he does 0.5, we can get a nice run up. We're having a hard time getting past this line. And if he only does 0.25 after this weekend, we're going to start to see more downsides. Can it make it, not including fees? Using the y-axis, that's where the BOJ went down last time. I mean, things could get extreme and dark. It's close. It's a close call. I would probably wait until the weekend after. Hopefully you get a 0.5 and just try to reposition that all together. Just based on the history of rate cuts, the understanding of what they are in general, and just try to reposition that. Using the wick-off charting method like this prior breakout took place after. This was the last FOMC on May 1st. They had a juicy rally. Starts challenging the gravitational field. And then there's always a pullback and a bounce off the top of the x-axis. This is an adaptation of Wyckoff's charting system. You can bring that up and look into it. And if you want to go deeper down that, we have all these old trading plans up that all worked like a clock. And of course, we're doing it again here. So we're ultimately bearish right now inside our VIP. So you're cutting it close either way. And the ultimate horizon, because of rate cuts, isn't ultimately bullish based on history. In fact, the reason Casplex is coming out now is underlining what it's all about. They're looking for funding to build on the ecosystem. That's what they talk about inside the tweet too. They're like, new teams coming, new teams building, growing. They're looking for the fees to go up so they can take note inside of Marathon Digital, the major holders, Jane and Jump Street, huge market makers. They provide the liquidity on the exchanges like Kraken. So they're looking to ultimately build stable coins on Caspa, et cetera, et cetera. Getting into the KII, they're looking to do some groundbreaking work on cryptocurrency. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the support. It's important for everybody to hit subscribe and thumbs up to help get this quality content above all the audio video nerds who might be giving Caspa a bad name online just because they're young kids and they're not experienced investors. Meanwhile, their social media skills, get their videos up to the top. Make sure you guys help boost this channel up. As you know, we've got the goods. They're building a whole new, actually quality product for the distribution phase, which will be unique for crypto as a whole and really help Caspa get on the map with this energy trading platforms. Everybody on the KII team, we've looked over the team. Who are they? They're all connected, of course, to the DII. Everybody's talking about energy as well as climate control. And that leads directly to this narrative here. The tokenization of carbon credits. This is happening. And this is huge for BlackRock, Tesla. BlackRock loves carbon credits. As you guys know, they're using it to help fight against the businesses that they're competing against.
I pity the fool.
With carbon credits, there's a problem in the market right now because it's illiquid. So let's say we own Tesla. We're being climate compliant. We're paying all this extra money to get our carbon credits, and then we have nowhere to sell them. This is a problem for the climate change initiative, the World Economic Forum, all of that narrative, right, that you hear Alex Jones talking about. It's coming. It's on the way, on the horizon. The issue is it's not adding up dollars and cents wise because nobody's buying the carbon credits. By tokenizing carbon credits, and this is a $400 billion market. $400 billion. And the KII is right on the front lines. They're specialists in it. They've got the connections to the Middle East where the petrodollar is going out of business right now. And of course, they're not going to move it into a fiat system. And it just so happens Caspa is on the front lines. The entire VIP is discount. It's $47. That means that it's like getting takeout. I've already gave a great value there. It's, in my opinion, the most extremely underpriced. There's probably $300 worth of information in here easily to show you what you get in the collections library. This is, you make $47 on this 10 times over almost instantly. We've got the Kaspa leverage trading plans that specialize. What's our specialty? FOMC meetings. We got that coming up. We do the AI and altcoin trading plans like Desync, Pal AI, Spectral. Just recently, we had the #1 best swing trade in the entire market. Right after the Bank of Japan crash, everybody was scrambling. You remember that giant wick down saying, what should we buy? This is a great opportunity to buy a discount price. Because we use a managed learning system, the 24-point checklist with the 84 copy paste questions for AI. That's a tool you get and you learn how to use it. That knowledge, priceless. We know this particular GameFi project, you guys know I don't trade a lot of GameFi yet because it's a distribution layer. GameFi comes later. We start planning to trade this because it's test running in Japan. We know about this project. So if Japan's where the wick is coming from, this one's going to dump. And this project's been holding $1 strong. It's a first-person shooter. And so is our 24-point report on the #1 GameFi project that's not even listed yet. So if you've got $10,000, but let's say you're just like, I don't want to buy Caspa, I want to buy GameFi, you could just wait for this project to get listed next year, probably the fall, the summer, scoop that up and it will crush. This is like the hit GameFi, not just because the game is fun and awesome. It's got connections to Apple, the Apple Play Store. It's got all the right puzzle pieces all put together. And it's going to be fun. So we decide we're going to buy this one 18 hours later. And all of our trading plans, we plan things out in advance, weeks in advance, days in advance, 24-hour, 18 hours in advance. So 18 hours after we realize the Bank of Japan carry trade's live, we start planning. Suddenly this thing rips down. Everyone's like, buy now in the comments. We're like, buy now. 50 cents or over. Then we do an add-on at 70 cents. We're like, this is just starting to come back. Buy more. This is going to rip. And then it continues ripping to the upside up to like $1.30. This was the #1 swing trade that you could have made. Aside from microcaps. The other one that we got, Spectral, We have a full 24-point report on this project. Same scenario with Spectro. We are saying buy under $5.20, and we got two opportunities at that. Right when it was making a peak, we started formulating a trading plan to take profits from a head and shoulder pattern. Also knowing on the total 3 chart, we knew on August 26th, I'll pull up this data in a second. See right here, August 26th, this market dip. We knew that was going to happen because we pulled up the FOMC bond auction. So if they're offering 5% on these bonds, and this is the last round because Powell's about to cut rates, therefore we know there's going to be a massive sell-off on that date. And that's exactly what happened. Somehow this slipped our intellectual span, and instead of recognizing this was the head when we should have been selling on this shoulder, we're just holding and dollar cost averaging more. But Spectral, great project, huge long-term value. We have a full 24-point report on it. Let's see what else we got. I mean, this thing's packed with educational stuff, macroeconomic trends, the pattern directory. People that use technical analysis, this takes it to the next level because we're combining technical analysis. This is a post that we made during the FOMC meeting right before the Bank of Japan carry trade, where we recognize it's making a head and shoulders, start setting stop losses. This is failed breakout alert on the leverage trade plans. What we do is we combine the X and Y axis trend lines, and we recognize that this helps build larger classic technical patterns. Like these are the symmetrical triangles on Caspa. This is that X and Y repeating trend line system that we talked about. And as you can see, the symmetrical triangle is known for being like a 50-50 pattern. The cup and handle, the falling wedge, those will 90% of the time break to the up or down side. The symmetrical triangle is very receptive to market dynamics, market sentiment. So right here's the Bitcoin ETF. This one breaks to the upside. Right here is the rate cut hype. This one fakes out with a head and shoulders, which we actually predicted. We have some screenshots of that. That was like some kind of a Houdini prediction when we thought that was going to happen. Anyway, and now we've got this one. Another symmetrical triangle. And market sentiment right now, we're coming up with bearish. We have watch lists that are right now put together by market caps. We're going to restructure the watch lists in the different phases of crypto. So strong phase 1 run-up projects, phase 2 distribution projects. These are all the trading plans, how to do that repeating trend line system, how to combine it with classical pattern statistics. And these are all charts that just took place. You can get this stuff in trading books at Barnes and Noble. It's all old and dusty charts that you didn't see, that you weren't part of. So to have it up to date, even for falling wedges, ascending triangles, huge value. We have the 24-point checklist system, 7 24-point reports. This one's for desync, 8 pages long, plus links. Just soak in the information on how to vet cryptos and 84 questions that you can cut, copy, paste, put into ChatGPT or Agent GPT. To get more answers from artificial intelligence. AI is the smartest person in the room. Always use your artificial intelligence to help you along. And this goes for you too, Pat. What I would do is start asking artificial intelligence what you should do. Because to tell you the truth, that's if I was going to help you, that's what I was going to do. So you can just cut the middleman out and get right into it. So it looks like there's some potential bugs in the KRC20 launch again. Maybe. Who knows? $40,000 yard Stairmaster. Howdy to you. Good to see you out there, hanging tight, VIP member. I do a lot of chatting and helping. 40,000 yard Stairmaster came up, was in other groups, had a huge bag a few months ago of a lot of different altcoins. And we helped them consolidate correctly into Caspa. So they avoided massive downside, and they're still seeing upside right now. And they kept some of them, smaller allocations, lesser allocations to build into later. So we helped them clean up a messy, like 20 pick portfolio. They had way too many picks, and that's going to crush somebody in the 2025 bull run. You got 20 charts. The run up, we already proved we can time the run up pretty accurately, but the distribution level, it's going to be all over the place. So it's going to look good on paper for a while, but it's not going to go in the bank. We need to put that money in the bank, and you're going to increase your chances of doing that with less projects, obviously. Just send me a DM inside of Patreon with your private not private information, but with your portfolio information. Obviously, never share your private information online. Yeah, you just DM me right here, community. Just click on me, send me a message about your portfolio, all the details, what you got, etc., when you got it, the ratio of how much is what, and we'll go over different battle plans and different game types. I don't do calls. Calls are a bit over the top. But yeah, hit me up with a message and we'll get you all the links and everything, and we'll get you straightened out for sure. Yeah, I saw the videos about that. Seemed kind of shady. Big diversifier. Likes to teach diversification. Obviously, this is going to help him sell more VIP. I wonder if he was to only teach Caspa, just as an example. How much can any creator bring to the table? How much skills, tactics, methods, and knowledge do they have? Could they still have a VIP group? The answer with that one is no. No, he could not. His skill level, to me, is clearly not there. A lot of these diversification guys, people see and remember very select. They remember the ones they got right. Let's average in there quant. Average in, all the projects they got wrong, which is a lot. The timing also too. Back on the total 3 chart, by not understanding the market dynamics of treasuries and how they affect cryptocurrency, people were buying projects at the wrong time. People were buying in May. You know what that means for the majority of your bag? If you don't understand this and you were in early. So a lot of us just came in late. Right? We're here in the last 6 months. We sold our car. We've got our savings. We're like, I'm ready to invest, whatever. We're just stepping up to the plate on cryptocurrency. We have so much opportunity for upside given the market sentiment. But for people who had cash the entire time coming off the last bull market run, that's just an error. That's just a mistake. The fact that you did not time the low and also got into goofy projects like quant. It's like one of the worst performers, completely goofy. And it's easy to get out of that using a 24-point checklist system. They're all very passionate about crypto. And there's that one young kid, I don't want to drop names too much, but there's that one handsome guy who just is new. And as a creator, I'm looking at him and like seeing how much he has to offer and how his VIP group is just like skyrocketing off of gobbledygook, like nonsense, right? And they try to rationalize bad trading habits so that they can, so that they can have something to do with the crypto influencing scene. And it's needs to be called out. In my opinion, we should have a whole scoreboard. I would be down to do a scoreboard where we put every single person's VIP call out trades right on the deck and see how they're doing. Because as soon as that happens, I'm the only guy that's got a VIP. Galaxy, as much as he has a bad rep for doing his meme coins and goofy shenanigans, and Archie, I kind of went a little hard on Archie because of his GameFi involvement. Archie has a lot of talent, but he's got a long way to go. And so does Galaxy. A lot of these creators, as of right now, if you really tally up their entire call-out portfolios step by step, they're all, for one, they were coming off the last bull run. They all bought at the wrong times, which means right now, they haven't even made any gains. Most of them haven't made that much upside as of right now and get involved in a lot of rug pulls. I mean, at least Sepro really got his. He was the worst. And because Archie helped him along. He has no business doing this. He's completely goofy. There's an entire another sector of those guys who are the Alex Becker nut huggers. They're like, I know exactly, I know exactly where his wallet is, and I can find out whenever he's buying stuff. We can pull up Alex Becker's Twitter. I have it saved actually inside of Crypto Rank, all of his projects. The majority of them are completely bad, actually. I have all of his stuff kind of vet. These are just the ones that even make any sense whatsoever. The rest of his stuff is just gobbledygook junk. I'll give you this one that we got early inside VIP. NIA. So using our new listing method, so when the market sentiment switch around and it actually gets bullish, when this bond money is actually coming in and crypto is going to grow, we gave this buy alert 18 hours before the project was even on the exchange because the sentiment for AI, remember the AI run? That's when this was live. So we give the buy alert, and then but in the buy alert, we're like, wait an hour. This is standard practice with the stock market. Let the bell ring, watch what's going on, look at the book. So we get the buy alert in here, and then a day later, Alex Becker comes out and pumps our bag, which was cool. And we crushed the nut huggers getting around that. And we trade two of his picks because he's such a powerhouse. Pal AI and Desync. And we have detailed trading plans on those. It's up to us as the community to hit thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and help spread the word that we have quality content here that we can help get the ball moving, help educate people. Just the correlation, and this is just the surface level of everything that we teach inside VIP, the surface level correlating the bond chart, PAL to the FOMC. Now you can read the Wall Street Journal. Now you can watch financial TV and understand what's going on. No one's paying attention to this because they were printing money and how picture perfect the monetary policy was the last cycle. So it was a non-factor. That's why they all skipped over it. And way too much emphasis is put on the tech. The tech's important. It has its place, particularly during the distribution round. But just knowing what we need to know to follow the money, we got to know about macroeconomics trends. And this all plays into the KRC20 and Casplex. Smooth move by them. to launch KRC20 right now because Marathon Digital, they've got just enough Kaspa. It would be like the equivalent of me buying a meme coin right now. I would just put a drop of money on it to make the trade live so I would watch the chart with more intent, if that makes any sense. There's a difference between paper trading and trading $100, right? This is kind of what Marathon Digital is doing with Caspa. They're not making buckets of cash with it. They just got their finger on the pulse. They're watching everything. So right now, Jane and Jump Street, key player in crypto, they're getting their reports on Caspa and Claspex as the bond market's going down, pushing money into our ecosystem. This is a long-term bullish catalyst that we can prove by history it's not going to have instant bullish gratification because it's all about building on chain. We're getting way ahead of the ball game though for the run-up phase. On altcoins, the run-up was right here. On Bitcoin, it's the total top. To show the difference between the two. And the reason's very clear. The altcoins need time and money to build and develop. So right here is February, 1 year prior, 1 year bond, the total 3. This is February. And you can see this on AVAX, Phantom, Solana. The run-up wasn't that big, but the distribution was. So for Caspa, it's going to go 2 to 10. Spectral's very correlated with FOMC movements, just like Caspa is. Unfortunately, right now, this bond data and stuff is bearish for Spectral. So we don't have any trading plans at this absolute moment. We'll be coming up with some rough outlines later this week because there's a lot of action coming. Depends on what's going to happen this week. This week is huge. This is crunch time. It's go time right now for crypto.
Exciting now.
Things are going to get really exciting. It's on. As they start to move around, this is when the big players are going to move their cash. Retail's always just around for the ride. So just like Caspa's been seeing a lot of positive bond market data, Spectral, more to the downside. It's got its own lowest low that it can go to market cap wise, and it is going to peak stronger in the distribution phase. Right now, they're building Spectral up because they're going to create those quality products that regulation from the White House came into place. This is what Gary Gensler is supposed to be doing. This all happened right here in March of 2022. The White House started regulating crypto hard, and the FOMC simultaneously started raising rates. Look at this. We've always been talking about the run-up, February 20th. Look at this date. June 2022. That's the sell-off. And then the sell-off is fragmented into more pieces. The sell-off, in this scenario, 2 factors, supply and demand. So they're giving an off-ramp to the power players. You don't need to invest in the Caspa ecosystem anymore or the crypto ecosystems anymore. You can just invest back in the government. You've built enough jobs. You've grown Wall Street out. Get that money off the street. Get that money back into the federal government because we need to control inflation. Otherwise, that fiat paper is going to be worthless. So this is all checks and balances of that. But the economy needs that injection. And a lot of politics comes down to the lobbyists that are in position to get their hands on this. And obviously with more rate hikes coming, that's just more off ramps and it's more detailed stages of the sell-off. As the distribution phase takes place, we'll be able to get a clearer data set to help compile information about when these peaks are going to take place using bond markets. That chart, that's just the surface level. We've gone way deeper in VIP. We already called the August 28th based on bond auctions. I've been working with some guys who go to the World Economic Forum, speak on CNBC. They live in this $1 million condo with me, and they're always grilling me about crypto. These guys are like the top of the food chain. And I was always wondering why they always want to chew my ear off in the coffee. They're like, yeah, come back at 2 and bring your printouts. And they want to see what's going on with retail. And so they're utilizing me to put their ear to the street. And then meanwhile, they teach me about different bonds like the AAA yield and stuff. Help me go down this rabbit hole a little bit farther. It's the sum of the people that you hang around with. Moving into this $1 million condo helped me out a lot. It was a good decision to be around these type of people. And it's another reason why joining a VIP is good. None of your friends even know what cryptocurrency is, right? And we're out on social media running into kids that have audio video skills. That's why they're dominating social media. Get in the group, chat with people that are on the right mind frame. Helps. It helps a lot. What's up, Red Pill? Let's take a look at Bitcoin's chart. Yeah. So we have, there's some slight fluctuation. Looking at things from a zoomed out sense, we obviously have trading plans, more detailed with technical analysis, lining up with fundamental analysis inside VIP to make money on whatever direction is. We're still waiting on more information from the FOMC. Powell goes live on Wednesday. He's going to say 25 basis points or 50. It's a big difference. The market's going to react depending on what he says. Plus the Bank of Japan. They can show up and they can just completely wick the market out right now. And so we've been looking into the stock market because that's what the Bank of Japan is going to be worried about. We have a lot of articles going over that discussion. Yeah, so ultimately, based on knowing these fundamentals, connecting everything to the bond market, we're looking at a bearish Bitcoin over the fall. It's pretty bearish. I can give you that hint. The numbers and technical analysis and more details on the fundamentals, all inside VIP. And this is going to pull back the entire market, of course. All right, guys, that's just about wrapping up the time that we've got today. So everybody who thought that the Casplex KRC20 launch did not go as well as they had thought, didn't have the correct information to understand what was really going on. And when it comes to diversification, going all in on Caspa is going to help us out in a lot of ways. But we'll still be able to diversify by time using that $10,000 right now with $1,000 every month added on. You can, by the end of the distribution phase, easily have 4 to 5 positions, which is more than enough, way more than enough. And when you get into over 10, like the 40,000 Stairmaster had, get into a 20 bagger, you're now with huge issues. You're going to see growth on the screen, but that's not going to hit your bank account. Check out Mark Cuban on diversification. He'll straight up say right now, diversification is for fools. He gets right to the bone. He's like, do not diversify. You're diversifying against your own stupidity. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, same thing. And they go after the economists who are teaching it. They're like, yeah, all you need to do is go all in on Costco stock like 20 years ago. That's it. Have a nice day. Like Caspa Silver versus these diversifying VIPs, right? How much do they really have to offer? And they replace that often with diversification, like we saw with the whole GameFi phenomenon. That was so off base. It was so off base because they weren't even thinking about the riggedy wreck, son.
Anybody feel sick? Anybody got heart trouble? Go ahead and lean against the wall.
Yeah, like starting to feel sick to watch these guys go over lit labs. For one, play the games. The games are terrible. But for two, the team unlock was happening right when the spike happened. So that's a textbook pump and dump. Not to mention, when we zoom out at the total three, GameFi is a late distribution phase. We don't need to be wasting cash buying GameFi 18 months before the run-up even happens. That's ludicrous. We want to start with our stronger projects that are going to have a better run-up. Casplex is ensuring Caspa has a good run-up just in case something goes wrong in the bond market, something goes wrong with this. We'll at least have a good blow-off top in the beginning if we don't get a distribution phase. That can happen, man. That can happen. Nullifying all of our meme coins, nullifying all of GameFi. We don't know what the bull market's going to look like yet because we don't have the data. And this Wednesday, the FOMC is going to start giving us part of this puzzle piece. Don't forget to figure out what Satoshi's secret sauce is. All of your trades need to come back to this some way in order to take yourself to the next level. Yes, absolutely. We just went over the entire accounting step by step. I'll recap it for you one more time before we're out. How much money exists in the world, the entire world right now? In 2023, it was 140 trillion at 6% compounding. So we're at 160 by 2025, 2026. During the last market cycle, it was 100 trillion. So we're already adding 60% just on the total money in the world. When it was 100 trillion during the peak, and the peak is defined by the bond market. The treasuries has everything to do with your trading. Stock traders know this. Crypto traders got spoiled and they think they know it all. That's why they know nothing. February 20th, 2020. On Bitcoin and the total 3 chart, we can see this starts the run up. February 20th, 2021. That's 1 year after the bond markets mature. This injection of liquidity, which was formerly in the hands of the federal government, is now by design, by the global liquidity cycle, pushed onto the street to stimulate the economy, create jobs. This is Satoshi's genius, is he weaved this all together with the Bitcoin halving. This is the global liquidity cycle. This has nothing to do with crypto. This is economics 101. And this is a 5.5 year waxing and waning. Right here, we're down here. And what that graph is showing is the bond market. We're down here because all the cash is in bonds. And you can take this rabbit hole down even deeper to like finding exactly when it's going to corner to the downside, like we just did. Anyway, back to the $10. As this bubble bursts, Powell's about to start deflating it on Wednesday. He's going to raise or lower interest rates, meaning this comes down. We want it to get to zero, stay at zero for a year. That's best case scenario. This will create a new run-up and a new distribution phase. Tracking the money, the accounting. For Bitcoin, this means we're at $150,000. Now, there's a bunch of ways using the repeating trendline system. We can get to $150,000. That's around here. Streamlining this summary. $3 trillion Bitcoin is 150,000. The altcoins, BNB, Solana, XRP, Cardano. Even we'll go way down to Polkadot. This is 3.5 to 10% of Bitcoin's market cap. Because of the added regulation that was put in place, making sure quality projects are what happen during 2025. There'll be less nodes as a service. There'll be left Bored Ape Yacht Club and that degen DeFi stuff that was going on 4 years ago for you old school guys. For newbies, you don't know how early you are, but this entire market is going to flip on its head once you become rich. Everyone's going to come running into crypto. And so teams building on top of the chains we're investing in now are going to create new projects designed to get people rich. And a lot of it's going to be targeted into artificial intelligence, replacing jobs, more quality products. Midjourney, obviously putting graphic designers out. You guys have all seen the AI making pictures. They can use AI in supply chain management, accounting, a bunch of different crypto ideas to take jobs away. This is quality building. This is what the KII is all about. This ensures that Caspa gets its percentage of energy trading platforms, the whole tokenization of carbon credits. This is all ensuring that's what the KII is doing. That's going to be huge, enormous. Caspa gets its 5 or 10% easily. It's been getting more than its fair share. It's been the biggest glutton of FOMC bond information. How do we know that? We can't crack into their hardware. We don't need to. This is why we originally bought Caspa. Every time the FOMC meeting goes down bullish, this is when the market makers, the big players, Jane and Jump Street, BlackRock, they're getting their checkbook out. FOMC meeting, God candle. FOMC meeting, Son of God candle. FOMC meeting, massive rate cut hype. It was this one back here. Look at this. June 1st into this FOMC meeting, it's ramping up. Later, Marathon Digital, hindsight's always 2020, but we used knowing this bond market relation, knowing about this stuff coming off the stock market, which is like the UFC, and now we're just jumped down to bare knuckle fighting champion where we can whoop everybody. Knowing this correlation about bonds and market makers who really control everything, look at what was happening back in altcoins. We were short. You can watch the only 90-second short video we have up. It's all about the concepts behind the short. We ended up going with AVAX. It's why we started uploading, because everyone was saying it's altcoin season, and it's not. Because they don't understand the correlation to bonds, the phases, and then the sub-phases within the phases. Powell's going to be raising rates on May. He's now creating an off-ramp and inviting the market makers to get more yield, giving them an off-ramp out of crypto, and they didn't just take it, they pigged out. Jane and Jump Street back here, they like sold their Webull or Robinhood positions. The legacy cryptos, it was a bloodbath. Bloodbath. Everybody, even Crypto Banter, who's a respectable multimillionaire from crypto, they had some nonsensical gibberish that it was altcoin season, just trying to disregard the truth of the matter. So we were short. So we doubled up our 12,500. That's our on-camera trading. That's how much it costs to buy into a poker event we won on ESPN. So to prove that anyone can make $1 million with $10,000, we decided to do this on crypto, on camera. So we double up our position. But this is why we realized Caspa was special. We hadn't done the 24-point research. We hadn't checked under every stone. When we did later, we actually hypothesized, because the ASICs that were coming up were so environmentally efficient, Marathon would want to mine that, but we had projected that would be like 2030, way down the road. Either way, bloodbath in altcoins. Caspa was standing alone and ramping up, which tells us immediately, and this is playing into the up and coming price peak, how much it's going to get. It's going to pig out. This is market makers buying into Caspa. This is big dogs. That was our original hypothesis, plus the technical analysis. So we load the bag up. We go all in on Caspa. And they've just been continuously pigging out on Caspa ever since. That's what they're doing. So Caspa gets 10%, the lion's share of percentage of Bitcoin, just like BNB. Solana's got 6, XRP, Polkadot, and these all fluctuate. They all get around, 8, 7, 12%. 300 billion market cap. There you go. Now you're in double digits. It's important to recognize the different phases of the market and the correlation to the bond market. This is the secret sauce, as always. This is what we teach in VIP. We combine the repeating trend line system with the secret sauce, which is Satoshi's genius. Put the whole package together, crushing everybody, just crushing them. There's the run-up phase, which, in my opinion, technical analysis also supports this. Caspa will be at like $2. And then during the distribution phase, as the KII potentially creates, how about some carbon credit trading on Caspa? That's a $400 billion market cap, by the way. Casplex is already getting Caspa in position to build the Trader Joe utility tokens. So the next level of projects that come out, the GameFis, the memes, the get-rich-quick nodes as a service that slip past regulation, whatever. As the second wave comes in, you will then realize how early you are when you see what's about to happen to crypto after the run-up. And then Caspa launches. So it is poised to have a strong run-up and then an even stronger distribution. And so there you have the whole equation, following the money into the global liquidity cycle, acknowledging the bonds into the 3 phases. Voila, Caspa's at $10. And you can take this even more detailed, like inside VIP, we pull up when they're going to be auctioning bonds. Why don't you just tell us when you're going to sell the bonds there, government? They're like, okay, we're selling bonds on August 27th. Therefore, we're able to hypothesize, not even using the technical analysis here, which supports the exact fundamental basis. These are 2 repeating trend lines forming an apex, and we have fundamental information showing it's going to go down. Obviously, it's going to get rejected there. What happened on the altcoins? Voila. And so we're using the same strategies, tactics, and methods, as always, to make trading plans. For $47, it's a total steal to join our group. And you get all this hard work. For advanced traders, you've hired me to read 50 white papers. To find the best GameFi pick alone, that took me over a 40-hour work week searching through. I checked every GameFi pick. I'll give you guys one that's a notable runner-up that's not going to be wow like the one that is going to be wow. Boss Fighter. This one just looks the most fun. Boss Fighter is epic because you get to be like, have you guys ever played those Star Wars games? If you check out Boss Fighter, yeah, so the bad guys are like giant, and then you're the little guys running around the screen, but you can also take a turn to be the big guy. And with that comes NFTs and stuff. And this isn't even the best one. This is just an honorable mention. It's a great game. It's the most fun game. I like this one because it looks the most fun. But so we've got awesome vetted projects in artificial intelligence. It's a great group at a super discount price. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you spread the word about this channel. It helps Caspa to get intelligent content to the top of the heap. We'll catch you on the next one.
We make it 100 million.